I'll take a reading from the Satipatthana Sutta in the middle length sayings. So this seems to be the kind of polished compendium. And there are certain repeated phrases in it, which are there obviously for emphatic purposes. These are recited texts, recitations, so this is bringing this message home. Certain key words are used. Bhikkhu abides contemplating body as a body, ardent, fully aware and mindful, having put away covetousness and grief for the world, contemplates feelings as feelings, ardent, fully aware and mindful. Mind as mind, ardent, fully aware and mindful. Phenomena, mind objects, ardent, fully aware and mindful. Contemplates body as body internally, body as body externally, body as body both internally and externally. Abides contemplating body arising factors, subsiding factors, or both, or else mindfulness that there is a body is simply established to the extent necessary for bare knowledge and mindfulness, and so one abides independent, not clinging to anything in the world. The same refrain is used for the feelings, mind and phenomena, that is, internally, externally, both qualities of phenomena that are coming up, subsiding, and to the extent established the presence of body, feeling, mind, just the extent necessary for bare knowledge, jnana, and mindfulness. Abides independent, not clinging to anything in the world. So though the sutta does also say one cultivates this walking, standing, lying down, moving around, doing one's daily duties, so it's a kind of fairly wide envelope that these factors, that this process is containing. This process of internally, externally, both. It's called here clearly knowing, or these factors are to be ardent, fully aware, sampajano, sati, mindful, able to linger, reflect, sustain, stay with it, not drop it, what one is doing. And this gives a certain consistency to the practice, even though one is moving around doing different things. So that sets up that particular model. You're chanting, walking, cleaning, try to sustaining these factors, ardent, atapi. One is sampajana, fully knowing, or directly knowing, or clearly comprehending, mindful, noticing qualities arising, passing, both internally, externally. So it's and not getting obsessed in details, just the extent to which is necessary to sustain the body, his mind, feeling. Phenomena can be doubt, worry, joy, gladness, collected, uncollected, positive and negative, we might say. So it gives you a pretty wide scope to stay within. And as we know, it's sustaining practice beyond, a few days of inspiration. You meet certain obstacles, just the sense of, here we go again, tedium, boredom. Because the mind very easily, one day to day, another day, doing this, doing that, another day, another day, that kind of sets up a sense of continuation, becoming, continuation, becoming. This will be this is Tuesday, it's Wednesday, here we go again. So we're not really approaching things fresh. This is pretty much a standard, also, way that our minds work. They create patterns and then get habituated into them. To a certain extent, the pattern is attractive because it creates consistency, but it also has a dulling effect. So when you live such a routine life, monasteries, benefit being it's got steady input, fairly steady input, trying to just sustain that artapi, ardent, eager, interested, eager. And like many things, this process is regenerative. That is, we begin to recognize the cessation of afflictive states. It's interesting. When difficult states or hindering states or, negative states pass, or we're able to get past them, that itself is inspiring. So we get that, therefore one is keen, eager. You start off with an inspiration, because something is attracted towards composure, towards ethical sensitivity, towards clarity. We're attracted towards that naturally. And then we start to meet the obstacles, which are two fundamental obstacles which support the others. One is a kind of a lethargy, dullness, you just get habitual. The other's restless, can't get settled. You either get too settled and kind of sink into tedium, or can't get settled and get restless, and then around that ill will, craving, doubt start to crystallize. Am I doing the right thing? Is it really going to get me anywhere? It'd be really nice if I did this instead, or fed up with that negativity. Really around this basic, say, problem of routine. So how do we make a routine not a routine? Well, I mean, we have here, every day you try to bring up, first of all, just brightening, because it's better to be bright than dull. One could just kind of start, just kind of get off in a dull way, or not even get up at all, kind of just doze. But the sense of brightness is better than dullness. So, okay, that lifting. And then how do you stay lifted? Well, there's nothing exciting to do, so we focus on offering puja, brightening, Buddha, brightening, chanting, energy, brightening, collectedness, together, brightening, chanting, energy. It's not frantic, it's a steady lifting, and using the voice to lift, and what it takes to get the voice. You've got to hold the body up, take deep breaths. That itself, whatever one's chanting, if that's done in a steady way, that has a brightening effect. Well, it's better than having a dulling effect. And of course then we add to that recollections of the awakened one, the possibilities, the directness of truth, the possibilities of realization, and whatever resonance is and inspirational objects you can, come to mind in that. And again, it's what strikes you. I've always found Vichacharana Sampano, someone who's accomplished in conduct and understanding, to be a really rather attractive, ennobling quality of human beings. Ocean-like compassion, I find very attractive. But those recollections, and so often with this, you're also getting the mind to do recollecting, rather than just kind of, now's not the time to calm down. Now's the time to lift up, And recognizing lifting up doesn't have to be frantically straining. It can be a gentle, steady, sustaining, lifting, which is helped by some inspiring sign, which you recollect, bring to mind repeatedly, and lift it up. And rise to that. Lift your heart to it. You can get your voice behind it, that's even better, because then you hear it. You hear the sound, and the sound has got it emphasizes. And what it takes to create that sound, chanting, it requires a steady body, good breath, openness, and focus, right there. So this is always a standard in monasteries anyway. I used to do this, I did this even when I was on pilgrimage in India every day. Just because, again, you sort of sit in some graveyard where you've been sleeping the night, just find someone and it's damp, cold, you get up, day, get the Buddha out, put it on a rock somewhere and start rising. Because it's better than not rising. Since the day's going to happen anyway, just getting up grumpy and not good, so you get up and come on, lift. At the end of the day, had a difficult day, hungry, tired, sore, confused, okay, just Buddha, rise. Heart can be taken out of this world of circumstance. And you can do it when you can do it in the wilderness, when you can do it on the road, and I'm sure you can do it in your kuti or in your room, wherever you are. Something just this is, the recognition. If you don't have an inspiring sign, what sign are you going to pick up? Your mind's going to pick up something, right? It's not going to be in a state of open, with nothing going on. Something's going to be going on. So, what's the sign you're going to pick up? Is it, grey, rain, another day? Pick up that? No thanks. So pick that up particularly before the circumstances start rolling in. Atapi, one is ardent, eager. And recognizing just how precarious the mind can be. It can just slip off kilter and go into some fantasy daydream, proliferation, grudge, worry. It's like something caught in a vortex, being swept downstream. So, Sampajano, translated different ways. I've seen it translated as clear comprehension. There's 3 parts to that word. Anya, jnana is knowing, paj is thoroughly knowing, and sam is completely. So thoroughly, completely, directly. It's making a strong point that you're really getting it. So this means it's not just thinking about something. You may think something or bring up a thought, but then you move from that thought of Buddha or whatever, and see, you've picked up, and then thoroughly knowing it directly, how does this feel? So you move into the world of direct experience. What does that mean? It means what's touching the heart. Is it strained? Is it slack? How is that? What's happening? Fully sensing that with a sense of purpose and something to be realized within this, something to be noticed within this, something to be wary of in this. And within this we begin to recognize, the phenomena, that which one can discern and sense and feel, are always shifting and moving. That's important. Sometimes they're not great, sometimes they're unpleasant. Sometimes they're just nothing special, sometimes quite pleasant, but they're always moving and welling up and subsiding. Notice the endings of things. Ending of a thought, ending of a breath, a waning, and then rising. This is considered a key to liberation. It's kind of one of the 3 doors, 3 portals to liberation. Anicca, changeability. Because it means if we contemplate, if one is fully directly aware of that, phenomena themselves are something one is not finding. They may support composure, but that's fragile, because phenomena keep shifting. What supports it is a sense of clear awareness of phenomena, which is slightly. So the mood or the feeling or the bodily impression or state of vigor or whatever, that changes. What we're inclining towards is what doesn't change. Is the awareness of these phenomena can be consistent. Jnana. So it said, one cultivates this just to the mindfulness of body, feeling and so forth, just the extent that's necessary to establish bare knowing. Bare knowing means it's no longer mine, it's not an alternative, it's not, it's like this but it could be like that, and it's not mine, because that mine is an addition. What actually happens is what happens. There is experience of embodiment, which we take personally, of course. Mine even more personally, my mind. And the phenomena, because the phenomena that arise in it can have a certain familiarity to it and intimacy to it. So whatever's familiar and intimate, that's me, isn't it? And there's the problem of familiarity. It's me again. So important to notice and become dispassionate towards the familiar habits. Sometimes change them. or become dispassionate towards the familiar mind states and psychologies. You have to begin to know yourself in order to get beyond yourself. Know that one's tendency to go into negativity or feel frustrated or get intense and agitated or spin out into proliferations or trying to make everything work perfectly, take responsibility for everything or take responsibility for nothing. You begin to know your own flavour. That's me, all right. And then that's the point of insight, is that this is mind, is a mental phenomena, and rather than adding more of that intensification effect when we identify with something, dispassion. And because the mind is can get so woven up, because the mind tends to add its energy, something that occurs, mine, my ideas, my life, my future, it's got a certain deep resonance to it, glow to it, intensity to it, meaning, purpose. This is me. It's important. Yeah. But getting intense about it throws a whole lot of weight into it. That means you lose your composure, your clarity, your freedom, your agility. Become too heavy, too self-obsessed. And this is certainly a problem can occur in meditation, because you're spending a lot of time with me. And the aim is to be fully aware of the me's and what it brings up, and the me programs and the me psychologies, but not intensive, not adding more energy to them. So there's that witnessing. And there's something more fulfilling, less compulsive, less predictable, because the me sense is exactly that which creates familiarity, which gets into a rut, which becomes an obsession, which becomes deadening. And there's something that seeks that. Get into the familiar. So I can just run an automatic. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 7 o'clock, Wednesday, Tuesday, feed the dog, milk the cow, whatever. Then I know where I am. It's so innocuous, but it is deadening. So one is alert to that. Something precious can be lost here, freedom. So the aim is emptying. It means no longer adding more passion or intensity to phenomena, to ideas, to plans, to programs, to projects, to routines, to this, that and the other. Okay, so that means every time it's new. Like, we can be seemingly doing the same thing from the outside, looks like it, and yet you're not. You approach it freshly, with clarity. And that's because that's possible. And it's not just possible, it's the thing that is the gateway to freedom. Because in that freshness, there's also something that's not about circumstances, it's not about programs, it's not about conditions, it's something free of that. And this is the quality that on a very mundane level just stops us going crazy and becoming robots. Either just get overloaded because you're carrying so much stuff of right and this and got to do that, got to be this, got to be that. Remember, you've got to have somewhere which just says, stop. Yeah. Or you get robotic. It's called sila, vatta paramasa, stuck in systems and customs. There's something that can notice that, can begin to get that. This is the taste of freedom. So instead of necessarily even changing circumstances, something new, somewhat different, it's changing one's response to circumstances. It's a change. Let's be with it. Even the seemingly most consistent things, when you look at them, when you experience them directly, are changing. You look at the land, something as solid as the earth, and it's different at 8 o'clock than it is at 8:05. The light changes. The textures of the sky change, colours change, things move. Even something as seemingly solid as the earth, directly experienced, is in going constant change. Mountains change. Look at it, 1 minute, it's got this light on it, next minute, this light changes, shifting. Directly known, not just conceived of, everything is changing. You stand still. Within that experience of the body standing still, you'll feel different pulsations. Texture of the body is just gently pulsing. Sensations rather through it. But even just the fact of body, earth element, if you directly sense it, is subtly changing, pressures and so forth. Yeah, most of the time we live within an abstract idea of the body. Oh, body, arms, legs, clothes, get out the door, so forth. Feed it. Which is also true, and yet deadening. So, because of that deadening, average person seeks constant stimulation. Liven it up a bit. Dress it up. Bounce around in it. Go out for a jaunt. Liven it up. So, and then the whole process of intoxication and gets going, and restlessness. Without the restlessness, without something to do, you'll start to feel very uncomfortable. When we had the lockdown, just even not being able to go out, or not go out very much, very, very difficult for many people. Because normally they go out, go down the pub, go for a meal, watch a movie, go out somewhere, see somebody, stop. Monasteries is just, quiet, kind of quite comfortable actually. You've got Dhamma practice. And so you see how fragile it is when one's leaning, resting on circumstances that can, in a matter of days, shift, and no refuge. But within this very body, you experience changing phenomena, also experience that which knows changing phenomena, which is the whole point of it. Dukkha. One is aware of gate to liberation called dukkha, recognizing the incompleteness of circumstances, conditions. They're always running on, they're never quite finished, they're always loose ends. There's one sort of, just get that sorted out, everything be alright? Nope. Just tidy that up and then things will be, nope. Or just fix that and then, oops, no, it's broken. Nice and comfortable, tree's blown down. Okay, get that sorted out and then we'll, the next thing. Things are going fine and I've got this sniffle. Seemed pretty good, he was in harmony and so-and-so's having a bad day. Well, one day we'll get it all nice and sorted out and everything will be fine. Nope. But that's the sign. Unsatisfactory, incomplete, unsettled, sometimes extremely painful. But the understanding is that doesn't have to be taken in. So there's what's called the dukkha of things being unsatisfactory, viparinama dukkha, the dukkha of things shifting and changing and not being constant, and the sankata dukkha, which is the dukkha, the struggle that we internalize over trying to make things complete, finished, tidy, satisfied, comfortable, agreeable. And not that you want to make them disagreeable, but just how much is necessary to maintain mindfulness. How much do you need to find your own clarity? Because you're looking to make that as little as possible. Greater freedom. As little, concern about the unsatisfactory conditions. Because they are this way. So we begin to consider, well, I don't feel that great, that inspired, but at least I'm not in pain. One day I will be. I don't feel that fantastic, but at least I'm not fever. One day I will be. At least I'm not, people are not the greatest people in the world, but one day you'll be surrounded by, people are being difficult. So, better practice now, rather than wait for things to get right. One day you'll be in your deathbed, be a bit late then. And sometimes people ask me, well, what do you practice when you're dying? I said, look, if you haven't practiced but right now, it's a bit late to start then. You practice now because you're dying now. It's just hasn't got critical yet, but you're doing it now, right? What does that mean? I mean, you don't hold on. You're not planning the future. You're not hoping someday it'll be better. Okay, now it's like this. So that rather unpleasant sign, dukkha, is actually a liberation. It's something that just keeps your fingers off from gripping. Right. It returns. The idea is not to say everything is miserable, but there is that, and I'm not taking it in. Or I'm learning to see how I take it in, my struggle, my wishes, it would be nice if, and, but Okay, how much can you do before you lose balance and composure? And a composure is not about things themselves being stable, but your ability to be present with the conflicting, the disagreeable. What's that? This is where the clear knowing and jnana begins to, present itself as an alternative. Anatta, not self, third portal to liberation. So it's three aspects. We chant. Na meso, na meso. This is not me. Na me at, na ahang, not I. Not myself. Me, I, myself. So me is the experience of things happening to me. And so we contemplate who's the me who feels things. Who's the me who gets touched by things? Well, it's either body or touching your body, or contact arises, something touches the heart. Heart is contact and feeling. Contact, feeling. That's rising of energy. That rising of energy, when contact happens, that experience is sense of, that happened to me. Something that didn't touch my heart, didn't cause that, it's just, okay, something happened. It's a shame, something happened. But when that feeling arises, and that change of energy happened to me, or mine. My house blew down, somebody else's house blew down. Well, that's a shame. But my house blew down. Oh no. It's mine. That's me, that's where I am. Happened to me. Happened to mine. People are dying all the time. But when a mind dies, that's definitely a major issue. A feeling flares up, contact is there, and that's mine. There's huge waves of agitation. And then, so when a mind went. And how much of it, if it was, is it mine? Is any of it? What does that mean? It means I can control it, I can own it, I can possess it, I can guarantee it. Well, take a look at that. Clearly comprehending, fully aware, mindful. Even its very body. It requires consistency because these tendencies are so ingrained, so established. It's often emotionally quite challenging. To really. But what is your refuge is this clear knowing. And certainly, probably most of us get some sense of reaction when one bit of me or bit of mine breaks up. Okay, maybe that's also just what happens. The system just beginning to react, and that also is that. It's not me or mine. Now these responses and reactions become myself. My wanting to make everything work. I would say that's something that's there for me. I would like to make things better, more useful, cleaner, tidier, purposeful, effective, so forth. Yes, that's me, all right. That's my And yet, okay, but it's, as I say, failure keeps me sane. Everyday failing. Everyday failing, feel good. But still, heart there, doesn't matter, because skillful dhammas are arising, results, can't predict them, can't guarantee them, and still skillful dhammas arising, steady, persistent, results, who knows. In the circumstantial world, results here is the mind is bright, steady, aspiring, vigorous, not bowed. Endlessly beaten, but never bowed. This is just circumstances, and that's the kind of thing you begin to discern. That ability to persist and sustain when actually you realize the circumstantial world is dukkha, but it doesn't check your clarity or your heartfulness. Whereas if one takes it as mine, or even the attitudes one brings up as mine, then it becomes burdensome, heavy, frustrating. So something doesn't have to necessarily result in the way that I want it to, in terms of phenomena, in terms of external phenomena. Hanging on to that, trying to build something out of that. Or even internal phenomena. Sometimes the mind settles and sometimes it doesn't. And this is a learning place, because you can get to, I am, can't, I'm not, I'm like this, I'm never like that, I can't be this, I can't be that, something wrong, Or you can say, okay, well, breathing in, breathing out, standing, sitting, walking. Sustain this persistence. And the phenomena rise up and challenge you, and you just keep steady, and they begin to wane. Bits of your psychology's change, either, that which searches for immediate results, that which gives up. I can't be bothered. Enough. This isn't going to work. Well, that kind of mind's not going to go anywhere, is it? Useful. So it's better to keep steady than keep giving up. Look at the choices. And which gives rise to that bare knowing. This is just the mind. This is just phenomena moving. Stay steady. Keep the knowing. And what supports it? Attapi, arta, sampajana, clearly comprehending. Mindful to the extent to knows this is the mind, factors arising, factors passing. Internally. Mind internally, its substance, its inner workings, externally, the way the mind runs out into plans and ideas in the world around us, the world of time, which is all that, colouring the world of time and place. What time? Mind creates a future and then suffers over it. That's when the external mind is not guarded. And held with reference to the internal qualities of settledness or aspiration or restlessness, then it runs out into, well, there and sometime in the future, I was, I will be, should be, I could be, I will be, I will, running out. And then, restlessness or negativity. So we contemplate internally, externally. No, this is the mind. This is citta. And that dispassion begins to reduce the intensity of it. Intensity. And it doesn't matter so much. Less reactivity, less identification. And you support the mind with the body. We just keep returning to this basis that tethers the mind. Body has no future, doesn't know what you're talking about. Only knows this. So this is why this kind of whole training around these postures, tethering the mind, and then beginning to work intimately on the restlessness or the dullness or the agitation or the fracturedness, when it's scattered, then it's steady, rein it in. Just the extent that's necessary to know, for full knowing. And this will definitely, over time, it's definitely, you're no longer dominated by circumstances, and that's a freedom. Internal circumstances, external circumstances. And this is why this is taught. And we can see in this presentation the circumstances are presented in a very broad way, based upon virtue, based upon straight view. There is a consequence of good and skillful deeds. You aspire to virtue. That's right. And then within that, these foundations, moving around, standing, sitting, walking, washing, cleaning, fixing things, whatever, just holding that quite livable frame of reference. And that's immensely valuable, because life goes on beyond the meditation hall, doesn't it? So you want to have something that covers all of it and keeps you alert to the present, the change, and where we get stuck. The rest is up to us. Let's take some time for direct practice.